Black Ops 6. The beta came out, and oh boy, did the reviews come in like a train full of pissy squirrels. Chaotic, unpredictable, and leaving every single goober alive wondering how they ended up with a face full of nuts. Now, for some, that sentence made little to no sense. However, the point is the reviews are all over the place. The good, the bad, and the holy shit you were just complaining online because you want a shit ton of views and engagement. Now, I will not lie. I think it is despicable for people that complain about something simply for the sake of complaining. I absolutely hate it. But I do like engagement and views, so off to the races we go. Now, of course, everyone has a right to their own opinion, so don't go rating the game bad because some goober said it was bad, or some other shrimp stuck on the bottom of a shoe said it was good. You have your own little brain, use it. Now, I know many in Generation Alpha have no clue how to use their brain properly, and can barely process what I just told them to do not even a moment ago. That's just what happens when you insert skibbity and riz in the same sentence, so we're just gonna have to move on. Now, where to begin about this game? I honestly have no clue. But there are a lot of problems with it, and by a lot I mean like 2, and I think we all know what it is. However, I think I will start with the positives and my honest thoughts about the game so far. So the ranking that I'm going to give this out of 10, a solid 7 to 8 out of 10. It's genuinely a fun game to play right now, I will not lie. Treyarch actually cooked with this. Now, understandably, a lot of people think it's opposite day from the ranking I just gave it, hence why it is my own personal opinion. Anyway, while little Timmy is in the back, having a catastrophic meltdown after that ranking, allow me to explain why I gave it such a high spot that'll make the Black Ops 3 enjoyers go, gee whiz, that is a jolly high number, my dear Watson. I think it's quite obvious, so I'll get this one out of the way, the Omni Movement. If you don't know what Omni Movement is, summed up, it's you pretty much sprinting in every direction. Back, forth, and even sideways as shown in this stream clip of mine. You have a 360-degree view and all of those goodies. And truth be told, I think it's in a great advancement. In theory. I'll get into more detail about the in theory part in a little bit because it's a double-edged sword if we're being completely honest here. The second thing is the guns. They feel really good to shoot. Every game I logged onto, I rocked an assault rifle and it felt amazing to fire throughout the game. On top of the guns feeling good to shoot, the hit marker was very satisfying as well when it hits an enemy. I don't know what it is, something about the noise when it hits, like a M1 Grand when the clip empties. Let me not leave you in the dark, here's one for the road. But regardless, all in all, it is satisfying to shoot the guns. At least on PC, I don't know how it works on console. I will say I have never used a sniper as much as I did in this beta compared to all the other Call of Duties, and if I'm being honest, they're pretty fun to use as well, and I have used it a lot in many games. Now, I'm still shit at sniping, don't get me wrong. I mean shit, if I was living in the 1960s, you would not have to worry about me assassinating Kennedy or his wife, because she would definitely bite the bullet with the amount of sheet metal she eats. However, back on track, it's fun to shoot a sniper and it actually makes me want to practice using it. I do enjoy the weapon levels and the shit you can unlock throughout the game, although I do chuckle at the fact that I can level up one gun to unlock an attachment to another gun. And I do enjoy that in a way because that means you will have to use other guns and not just one. But anyways, moving on. Now, I don't know about you, but personally I think that's enough glazing on the guns. Now, onto the maps. So as the beta continued, more and more things dropped. There were a good 8 maps that were in the beta. Scud, Derelict, Skyline, Babylon Pit, Gala, Rewind, and Stakeout. Out of these maps, Skyline is the most popular. You can snipe from both sides of spawn off a rooftop or a balcony with a hallway connecting the two, where some long-range combat happens and a lot of grenades and flashbangs. I probably should have said earlier, the clips you were watching were from me streaming the beta every single goddamn day like a fat Reddit and Discordian moderator living in his mother's basement chronically online with no hopes or a bright future. But back onto the map, there is also a secret downstairs that gives you a vent and allows you to travel to the other side of the map. The best way that I can compare it to is Hijacked from BO2, where you can go down the ladders into the control room and go to the other side of the boat. There is also a conference room that is also a security room when that button in the vent is activated, which is actually OP as hell in a game of Hardpoint. That's right, that game mode. Since one spot of the Hardpoint is in that room, where one of the 3 doors and a set of windows close fully, so you don't have to worry about some loser strafe jumping inside from the staircase, as well as any gunfire or grenades in it. All in all, the map is pretty fun to play, and out of all the maps, that was the most played one for me, because you know, democracy when it comes to choosing the maps. However, my personal favorite was Scud, a broken down radar station. This map is open and it is, in my opinion, the most fun to play for me. Best sniping spot is in the radar array, and another spot is, I guess, what you would call a watchtower or a top of a bunker sort of place. It's on the opposite side of the array. You know what I'm talking about in this clip. Now, once again, I know some people watching this are going out for a cigarette after hearing the words "Scud is my favorite" leave a person's mouth, and my response is simply, indubitably. I think the more open the map is, the faster paced it is, especially with how large the map is. And by golly, this map is fast paced. Well, that's a lot of is I put in that sentence. Keep up. Anyways, just running across the map and to eliminate the enemy, spawns do flip a lot in a TDM, and I always enjoyed that sort of always on the move type maps. I mean, hell, that's probably why a lot of us like Nuketown. And speaking of fast paced, holy guacamole, this next map will have you go absolutely berserkioli. That's right, this map is so wild I had to come up with a word on the spot. Babylon. Or Babylon, if you're a fucking weirdo. Sweet Jesus, just saying those words got me shivering my timbers with PTSD from Shipment. And if I'm being completely honest here, I would personally take Shipment over Babylon any day of the week. Babylon is a small ass square, hell, in my opinion, more smaller than Shipment. Now, a good chunk of these maps are small and used for close quarter combat, so you will see some goobers such as myself run around with a knife that you can pull out by holding the V button. Babylon is definitely that sort of map, and like all the other smaller maps, it's most certainly a shotgun map. You wouldn't care about that too much until you get shotgun for the 8th time in a row, then trust me, you will go mad. Now, the biggest problem with this map is the spawns. I will not lie, people were talking about that on X, because, you know, it was so exhilarating to talk about. See what I did there? 1 second you spawn in, and the next millisecond you're getting blasted up the place where the sun don't shine with a sniper or a shotgun or a grenade or a helicopter or some loser camping on the opposite side ready to rail you. All in all, this map is gruesome when it comes to this sort of thing. Mixed in with sweats, you may as well just take an L and play something soothing. Now for my least favorite map, Derelict. I'm not going to spend too much time on this genuinely, there's a bit to unpack for other things. Most of it is all just personal preference that I am not going to get into, such as not being as open as Scud like I mentioned earlier. Like I said, personal preference. I have to keep saying that because no doubt some of you watching are Twitter users and have no idea what that even means. But the big problem that I have is whenever I spawn, frames drop or the game freezes for a moment before going back to normal. And it's only this map. I'm not sure if it's because there's just a lot more to render in with all the trees and other sorts of nature as well as all the other stuff in the map. But good golly, Miss Molly, it's a problem for me that I do not like, especially when I'm in the middle of a game. Now, as for Rewind, I'm quite indifferent on the map. I think it holds potential, but I'm not really used to the layout. It's kind of both open and compact depending on the area that you are in. It's all just a sort of plaza, I think is what you call it if I'm not mistaken. Regardless, it's pretty good for sniping and other long shot at fights when you are outside, and it's a lot more close quarters inside the buildings. Other than that, there's nothing really much else to say about the map. It is a pain in the groin when domination is being played on it though. Another map is called Gala, set in DC. It's just a small rectangle. Extremely fast paced, a little bit like Nuketown with how fast and chaotic it is. There really is nothing else to say about it. I mean, you know my opinion on chaotic maps like this. I like them, and Gala is most certainly a fun map with the shit that's happening. Another map is called Pit. It would remind you of Vorkuta. If anything, the location is at Vorkuta because it is in a mine pit in Russia. Unsurprisingly, also a small map, and like Gala, also very chaotic and fun. A shotgun map for sure. Very, what's the right word? Condensed? Compact? The shit in the way is what I'm trying to tell you people. There is really nothing else to say about this, so let's move on from that. The next and final map is called Stakeout. It's an apartment room, and it was exclusively for one of the game modes alongside with Gala. There is also nothing else to say about that map. I literally just told you what it was, and that's that. However, speaking of game modes, let's go hop on that bull. Now that we got the maps under control, let's get talking about these game modes. There's not really much to talk about in the game modes. It's your typical suspects: Team Deathmatch, Hardpoint, Kill Confirmed, and Domination. However, there's this other game mode that is quite new. The game mode is called Kill Order. If you don't know what it is, it's a TDM, but one player of each team is a HVT, or High Value Target for those who need help for acronyms. They need protection by their own team. They're armored up and all that, and if they die, then it's like 5 points to the enemy team and vice versa, and it's the first to 100. To be honest, I like this game mode. It's something different. It's only my first time playing that game mode in general, hence why I'm not so good at it. So if you were thinking like skill issue, well, little Bobby, not to me, so suck a dick. The only problem in the game mode that I have is in Skyline, everyone camps in the bunker and just farms kills since everyone is chilling downstairs. It's annoying, but if you adapt, then you see why they do it. Also, there is another spot, and that's outside the conference room, but I just throw a grenade, and like roaches, they just jump out and run like no tomorrow. Now, the final game mode that we kind of all know and love, or at least some of us love, is Gunfight. This mode came out on pretty much the last day of the open beta, and its maps are Stakeout and Gala. For the CSGO people, it's Wingman. For regular human beings with lives doing God's work doing a 9 to 5, it's just a 2v2 for 6 rounds. Quite a fun game mode, might I say, but when you get an RPG for a certain round, just know what to expect that round. And for the next thing, the hostage effect. Yep, you all seen it through clips, it even happened to yours truly. You get raped. Now, everyone calls it backshots, but when you get taken hostage and go to a dark corner and pit going back and forth with the hostage taker going and a voice that sounds like a chronic smoker, you like that elephant dick, yeah, I really wouldn't call that backshots. Now, you might be wondering why I am putting this in the why I like the game category, because without the diddy-doers, the hostage mechanic is actually pretty funny. You take them hostage and you have the proximity voice chat to talk to them. They can hear you can hear them, and oh boy do they scream and shout. For good reason, of course. But as your heterosexual Christian gentleman, I do not do the mini-lad. I do, however, say the greatest dad jokes of all time. For example, why don't skeletons fight each other? They don't have the guts. I am happy because I get to go to bed knowing that I made at least one of you guys laugh. But that really does it for me in the sense of why I enjoy the game and why it's around a 7 to 8 out of 10. The maps are pretty good, the guns feel good, the movement is good, the game modes, despite being common and something we all know, I mean, we're good. Oh yeah, and you have Face Off, where it's just a TDM without score streaks and the maps that won't even give you the score streaks, like Gala and Pit, since they are not outside. Now, you kind of see why the maps are small and fast-paced, because it's nothing but pure TDM or kill confirmed or kill order. Now, of course, not everything can be good. I mean, even the best pizza has pineapples on it sometimes, ladies and gentlemen. The game has its moments, and brings me the reason as to why I'm making this video in the first place. Now, I will state that again for the 50th time, to the point where I'm going to blow up every single damn road across the continental United States. It's your joke, FBI, piss off please. All of this is personal preference and opinion based. You can disagree, you can agree, but this is my moment, so here we go. First things first, the players. It did not take long for the average 12-year-old schoolboy, some even in the embodiment of a 30-year-old unemployed man, to show up and sweat their asses off. In a beta, mind you. Like, for the actual game, yeah, sure, understandable, you will have sweats, and hell, you will even sweat sometimes yourself. However, when you have people running around on X giving everyone the best classes for a certain weapon that I will talk about in a moment, holy shit does it get extra stinky in here. Are you that cringe that you actually had to do something so stupid like leaking a best class for a weapon? I am, of course, talking about the lovely Jackdaw PDW. Or Jackal. I'm not sure which one it is, to be honest with you, I forgot. The weapon is broken, simple as that. You can't argue or disagree, it's a fact. Such a fact that they had to nerf it for the open beta. And you know the funny thing about that? It's still fucking cracked. When you have practically the whole lobby using the damn weapon, it gets harder and harder to say it's perfectly fine. And you cannot say the same for the other weapons. So for all the PDW glazers, don't even bother raising that argument up. I am fully convinced, like a woman choosing the bear, you people chose the PDW over any other gun the beta offered you. Even if you decided to use a different gun, like a crackhead, you got yourself too addicted to the PDW and went back to it because all the other guns weren't the meta. Now, I won't lie, there were still some guns that were built different, but the PDW was the star of the show. So if you didn't play the beta, don't ask the question of why is everyone using this SMG when the full game releases. The fire rate is insane, the movement speed is fast as hell, and overall it is a great gun, don't get me wrong, but it is definitely the gun if you want to be taken hostage and shit talked on. Now, I predicted in one of my streams that the PDW was going to get nerfed, and like St. John the Apostle seeing the end of the world, I saw the gun get nerfed. Now, I ain't claiming to be a prophet, but I am claiming that I saw the future, and I see that a good chunk of you will subscribe to this channel. Now, I'm not going to call out just the PDW, I think there is a bit more when it comes to weapon balancing on all weapons. I mean, currently, I think they're all pretty good when it comes to something like that, especially when the open beta released everything was changed up a bit. I think some weapons here and there can be tinkered with a little bit to make things a bit more balanced still, but other than that, everything's pretty good. Now, of course, earlier I said I would get right back into the Omni movement and why it's a double-edged sword. Sweaty nerds will definitely use it like they've been doing it since 2010. Don't believe me? Here's a clip. Now, of course, every time someone brings up an argument about sweaty players, that said sweaty player would always shrivel up and scream and cry about everyone else having a skill issue and how they should get good, as if the average person is like the sweat and lives a lonely, boring life that does not contribute to society, which makes me laugh every single time they say something like that. However, I do give credit where credit is due. After the sweats shrivel up and cry like little babies, they always fall back on the one argument that they have somewhat of a footing in, and that is skill-based matchmaking. Now, not only me, but a lot of other people have raised their voices in concern about SBMM. I have even stated that it's completely stupid in my opinion. But there is a bit more to the story that needs a bit of explaining. For those who are living under a rock for some reason, skill-based matchmaking, or SBMM for short, is pretty much self-explanatory. Long story short, you do good in one game, you get put in another lobby full of people that were around the same stats as you had the previous game. In theory, that sounds pretty good. However, it gets taken way overboard in practice. You can have one game where you do a pretty good game, but then the next game, you go so negative, integers cannot comprehend how bad you did and can't even put it on the screen. We all have to understand something though. Call of Duty always had SBMM, ever since the original Modern Warfare in 2007. Now back then it may not have been horrendous, maybe we never noticed it, but we had it. Sure, it got progressively worse, but there is nothing that can be done about it, because if we're being honest here, what's the big deal? It puts a good chunk of the sweats in their own little category. Yeah, sure, some slip through the cracks, but at least the floodgates aren't open, right? And since I am looking at it through that angle, it's really sort of a last bastion for casual players to do their thing. And ultimately, everybody cares about what their stats look like. Understandably too. I mean, I would have flipped my shit too if my KD was shit. My point is, SBMM should not be ragged on that horrendously. At least that was my thought process during the early access beta when I was playing it and not the open beta. Holy shit, did my view change quicker than a chameleon at a rave. It was absolutely horrendous, the skill-based matchmaking during that shit. Oh my god, you should have been there. Some of you were, as you watched me look to my left, roll my lips because some words would have been said in the voice chat if I wasn't streaming. So I'm happy to go back to my original point of view that skill-based matchmaking fucking sucks. But it is what it is. Is it a problem? Yes. Is there something that you can do about it? No. It's Activision. They took down H2M a day before it released, and everyone bought their shit. You really think they're going to be dumbing down SBMM? Now, the other problem I will not lie here, made me chuckle a bit, it's the anti-cheat. I do not need to give a full explanation about this. I just need to show you the video.
Wait, someone on the other team? Who? Wait, who? What the? Oh, that guy. Oh. 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 What the? Yeah. You're fucking trolling me.
Yeah, that's going to be an issue in the future, I think. I mean, the dude got banned, but still. Now, I am sure that there are other problems that people have, the tax sprint for example, but like my reasons for liking this game, it's personal preference. Me personally, I couldn't give a shit, but these are kind of the biggest ones that I have talked about. However, overall, with what I said about the movement, weapons, and maps and all that, Black Ops 6 does have potential on the multiplayer front. I probably should have mentioned that earlier in the video. We have no clue how the zombies is going to work. I mean, they cooked on one map at least, so that's good, I guess, but I mean, we'll find out soon enough. But that really does it for this little rant about the game and its positives and negatives, so now you can decide based off what I said on if it's something worth putting 70 smackers, that's right, a lot of doubloons right there, into the game. So if you enjoyed this, subscribe to see more in the future, especially when the new Zombies gets released, seeing how we are a Zombies channel for now. Other than that, thanks for watching and goodbye.